All right, awesome. So could I get each of you to just say your name and what you do?
So my name's
Gonna-
Tom, right, with the QH at the end. So for the ALF project, I'm one of the three co-founders. My specific role within the team is I lead the investment management team, and so we have the responsibility to manage the ALF treasury, and hopefully be able to um, make sound investment decisions. Very as much as we can manage the risk on the portfolio to give a good return on the treasury, both from a revenue perspective as well as a growth of the treasury itself. Anyway, that's it. As a quick summary, Des.
Yep, thank you. Des, I go by DezTX. For ALF, I'm one of the three co-founders with Tom and Funcracker. For ALF, I am on the operations side, so mostly focusing on keeping information flowing, trying to keep projects moving, things that we're working on in the background, and just keeping everything kind of moving along, managing day to day, and just kind of like serving as a checks and balances against Tom and asking questions and kind of just help try to, I think, balance things out between, Funcracker's very analytical tech side, Tom's, DeFi and heavy trading side, and then I'm, just in the middle trying to balance it all, make sure we keep the project moving forward and add value anywhere that I can.
Awesome. That sounds great. And how did you guys get into crypto? Just the whole scene in general.
So do you mind if I go first, Des?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a long background and history in finance. That's basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. So crypto is quite a natural transition. I have a fairly well diversified portfolio of investments, whether it's property or actually trading options, futures, just standard stocks or funds or pretty much everything in every asset class. So with crypto, obviously started dipping my toe in 2021, so fairly recent according to crypto standards. I did try before, but the world of crypto wasn't very easy, I would say, to get into. A lot of it was black market and tainted with that type of brush. But with the sort of maturity, I would say, of the space, it became easier to actually invest. Excited about the technology, as well as the very high risk return. So as I mentioned, I've got sort of like investments across the range of the risk return spectrum. This definitely is at the far end of the risk return. And so I first started as with everyone with sort of like all of your sort of like Bitcoin, ETH, and most of the L1s. I probably hover around 40 or 50 coins and tokens at any one point in time, reduced now to about maybe 20 these days. And that's predominantly because of Solana. I moved over to Solana. Actually, it was the Star Atlas IDO actually brought me over to Solana originally. And then I got hooked on DeFi. Those of you who know platforms like Saber and Sunny was my first dip into DeFi. Back when you could get like 1,000% APY return on your US dollar, very attractive. And then moving into the NFT world with I think it was things like Nine Heroes and DJ and Ape Academy on Mint, as well as things like Shadowy Supercoders. So joined Aephia in, I think it was July, in July 2021, and that's where I met this great group of people. When Star Atlas obviously has been a long, difficult ride, and the only reason many of us are still here is because we found ourselves in token discussion and NFT degen channels, where whilst we were waiting for Star Atlas game to take off, we were dabbling in trading and on NFTs and tokens. So that's pretty much a long-winded background for myself into crypto.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so for me, finding Solana was essentially refinding crypto. I initially found crypto, maybe in 2012, 2013 with Bitcoin. And, I think I traded Bitcoin from maybe 200 to 400 in that range. And then kind of left it for a while, and then a couple of years later, and maybe traded it up to just shy of 1,000. And I remember at 1,000 thinking like, oh, we'll never get past 1,000. It's way overvalued at this point. And there was also nothing to do in Bitcoin, right? So, or very little, as far as like apps or anything for a user of Bitcoin, other than the shady things that Tom was alluding to. And didn't do much. I work in traditional finance for my regular job. So my team deals mostly with derivatives, so things like options and futures and Forex. Primarily on like kind of a blended education and customer service role. So helping people understand those products, understanding how to employ them in their portfolio, and how to use those things to their advantage. And so when I found the Star Atlas white paper, that's kind of how I got introduced to the wonderful world of Solana. But yeah, reading the Star Atlas white paper for me was very cool. It was one of the most in-depth white papers that I've seen outside of traditional finance. Had a lot of tokenomics and economy and things like that I can relate to traditional finance and options and the way the markets function. And I kind of like look at different pieces of it analogous to the regular markets. And that's why I fell in love with Solana as well. It's just the speed and efficiency and cost effectiveness. I think this is a place where capital will be able to flow into and have real impact almost immediately, right? They don't have to deal with a lot of the inefficiencies of other chains. But yeah, that's how I found Solana, was through Star Atlas. And like Tom said, waiting for Star Atlas to build, you end up just kind of exploring everything else, right? I'm already reading about things, might as well just keep exploring. And I found the wonderful NFT community of Aephia, and started minting with them, reading articles that people were posting, and just kind of fell in deep, fell in love with the space and all of the devs building and all of the people here, like trying to create something very cool and very usable.
Yeah, that's probably relatable to a lot of people coming into Solana through Star Atlas. That's great, yeah. And I know you guys touched on this a little bit already, but why or what made you want to actually create ALF? What was the spark that made you go, yeah, let's do this?
You want that one first, Tom?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. I think it's for me, what I do at work, right, is help people understand these products. And there's things that I think in all of our lives that we like to do. Then there's things that we have to do, and then there's things that we have no interest in doing, right? And I think clearly Tom and I both work in finance, and then we chose a hobby also in finance, right? Which is I call ALF a hobby, but it's much more than that at this point. Now that we're a full product. But when I get off work, I come home and I read about crypto and I read about all of the things happening here, which is why I kind of relate it to a hobby. But I like doing these things, right? And I'm interested in them, and I'm well read, and try to stay, in front of everything happening. But there's a lot of people out there who don't have the time or desire or both, right? And I think that's kind of where we saw ALF fitting in, is people who are interested in the space and maybe believe in Solana long term. But the big conflict is time, right? How do I get more time back in my life? Or maybe I was very interested in everything here and something changed in my life and I don't have that much time anymore. How can I stay exposed to this, budding part of the market, budding part of the economy, and get to keep hanging out with all the people that I like talking to and reading about, the things that they post. So that's kind of like what drew me to this project when I first heard about it, was just being able to kind of fill that gap that you see all over the space, especially when you see how many people just get drained or rugged, or they just fall into these traps, responding to DMs and stuff. Just it's very malicious, and there's a lot of frankly fraud out there. So having the chance to create something good was kind of appealing to me. I didn't come to Solana to make money. I've actually never offboarded money from crypto, and so I'm not here for money, right? Like, making money is cool, and building wealth is cool, but I'm not here to like draw a paycheck. I don't need this to live my life. I do this because this is where I want to be when I'm not at work, right? So, Tom.
Yeah, I think you covered many of the main points, right? About if you think about it in the traditional finance world of things, someone will buy a fund, right? Because they don't either have the knowledge or the time that they want to invest in investing, and they're looking for someone else to do it. Now, one of the unique propositions that comes with Web3 is that we are able to do this at a fraction of the operating cost. If you look at your traditional funds, you are talking, if you're lucky, 1% of your assets under management are on an annual basis. And whether or not you actually make money on your investment or you lose money, regardless, you still pay. And that's one of the fundamental cornerstones of finance on Web3, right? That you've cut out so many of the middlemen. That it's to do business is so cheap that we are able to do this pretty much at nearly almost at zero cost, right? We have the costs of sort of like the operations and the team, but for actually running something like this, if you were to try and do this in the TradFi world, you wouldn't get very far, right? With just the actual costs of running and doing business. So I think this is it's a trailblazing area. We have a strong track record within the guild over the last 3 years, but this is an opportunity to actually build a strong reputation and a track record in the industry, right? Because this is the future of finance. So being able to create something like this, it's very much trailblazing for sort of like your traditional investment fund setup, which is why some of the members you'll see in the channels will relate this to the next possible big thing, right? Now, two other things that I would add on, sort of like that are really exciting for me as a holder. So as a holder, I find that it enables us to actually get into opportunities that you just can't do as an individual. So one of the reasons that we created an NFT was actually back in the NFT bull days, where we were very lucky to get into whitelists and pre-sales into a number of projects that were launching purely based on our relationships. But it was extremely difficult because even as a large guild with a large presence like Aephia, we didn't have an NFT, and spots for whitelist and pre-sales only went to collections. So we're not in that cycle yet for NFTs, but when those opportunities do resurface, we're extremely well placed with the ALF NFT. We will get spots and opportunities for our members. So that's something I'm really excited about going forward. Now, the other opportunity which we don't have as individuals are the VC opportunities. So this is something that the commanders, so those who hold 30 plus ALFs, have direct access to, are the VC deals. We've done 6 so far. These are extremely highly curated and selected opportunities where, again, we don't have the ability as individuals, but because of the mass that we're able to pull together, initially as small groups, so those are commanders, and then we extended those to the captains as well, so 15 plus ALFs. These are extremely limited opportunities to get into early VC deals. These are the equivalent of being able to get into Solana in one of the early funding days, right? Again, these are extremely high risk but extremely high reward. You don't have the opportunity to get in so early and at such a low price as an individual. And even if you're not a commander or you're not a captain, we have been using the ALF treasury to invest on your behalf. So this is, you get exposure to these VC opportunities as a holder. So we announced 3 of them so far that we have invested in. These were Gaming and Sharky and Banks. 3 more we haven't announced yet because these are essentially we're not at liberty to announce them. But once they actually are announced and we have the TGs, we will actually share those as well. But again, another 3 exciting opportunities. So those are sort of like I would say the areas where, as a group, as a collective, with a collection and a treasury, it gives us that exposure and ability that you otherwise don't get.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's a ton of content. That's a lot to unpack there. Thank you very much. Just last 2 questions. What if you had to pick one thing, just one concise, what's your favorite part about ALF? You had to just pick one.
For me, the easy answer, the people, right? Like, this is it's a very unique and humbling experience, kind of like coming up with a community like this, because it's not even something, I don't think it can, maybe it can be, but doing it intentionally is very hard, right? And the beauty of what like ALF is and the community of ALF is that it wasn't an intentional thing, right? The community started before the NFT, right? And it's very interesting, and like, I love being able to come into the ALF server and search in the search bar and find anything crypto related, right? It's essentially the Google of crypto, but it's our server. And it's just because everyone is talking about everything, and there's so many channels, and sometimes I'm not even in one, right? And I'll learn about this new game or token, and I come to our channel, search it, and somebody's already discussed it, right? And then you join the server, and there's some of these guys have been in there for months, right? Just kind of hanging out, reading, lurking. And you can come back to our server and ask them questions, and people respond with real answers, right? Like, the sharing of information and knowledge is probably the coolest thing to me. It's the free part, right? Well, now that's what we essentially packaged in the beginning, right? Or that's how we kind of started thinking about this, is like the community itself, getting to interact with these people. A lot of, like Tom said, we have some commanders who have 30 plus ALFs. Some of them have, far more than that. And it's cool to talk to people who have a very good perspective of the full market, but are also highly successful in their regular lives, right? And they can kind of form opinions and give, really thoughtful analysis of things, but just on a friendly manner, right? Like there's no financial advice in our servers, but people are talking about financial products in general, and it's cool to see so many just generally well-informed people, if that makes sense. So that's the coolest part for me. Tom?
Yeah, it's a bit cliche, but that came to mind straight away as well in terms of the community. So I'll give you like an example, right? Or two examples, right? So one, I'll just repeat the example that we put in on the website as well. The level of trust that we have with each other when you're in Web3 and you're just surrounded by rugs and frauds and pump and dumps. 3 years in crypto as friends with people is like dog years, right? I mean, if you know someone for 3 years in crypto, you're like you trust them with so much. So there's the old story about Miria. So before which was one of the triggers for creating ALF, right? So I spoke about the VC investments. We had an opportunity to invest in Miria. We all sent money to Tycoon. He ended up with $800,000 in his wallet, purely on trust. So we thankfully Tycoon didn't run off and rug us, but that's kind of the level of trust that we have in the community, and ALF allows us to do that a bit more less reliant on trust, right? So what you don't see behind the scenes is the fact that we have an extremely structured and organized set of wallets and multi-sigs going on. We have things like each of the hot wallets. We have 2 additional people who have the seed phrases for. So we've got business continuity built into every person's wallet. This is a proper business. We treat it seriously. We treat people's money seriously. But the level of trust between each other, built up over the years, is absolutely phenomenal and crazy. So my second story is, we have had discussions amongst members where some people have even gone to the point whereby they've said, look, my family doesn't really know very much about crypto. If the worst were to happen and something were to happen to me, I don't know what they would be able to do with it. And there's a level of trust where between certain members, we've been given our names, for example, to their loved ones as, look, if something happens to me and you need some help to actually access like the funds and my crypto stuff and to understand what's going on, please contact this person. I find that like so I don't know how you feel, Des, right? I mean, that's like one of the highest honors anyone's ever bestowed on me, right? So to think that we have gained that level of trust with some of our community, it is really humbling. Yeah.
Yeah,
Humbling is a great word.
yeah, it's really refreshing to go into the server from other parts, and everyone else is there's just in I feel like in the whole, especially in Solana as well, with all the meme coins and rugs and all that, I feel like the level of just general distrust is extremely high, and the amount of just degeneracy and people acting like essentially monkeys in other Discord servers, just spamming and all that. It's really refreshing to go into the Aephia server and just be free from all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. While Tom was giving his answer, I have it is cliche, right? The community answer. I got one more though that I think is, while he was talking, I thought of the other thing I think I'm really excited about for ALF is that this is the beginning, right? There is nothing out there. There is so much opportunity in the space. There's so many things we want to do that don't exist yet, with DeFi and crypto. And, we're pressing our business partners or vendors, I'll say, for things like our staking site and, our own personal website and things like that. But there is no product yet, right? Like all of the business services and DeFi wallet structuring and organizational, just B2B stuff doesn't exist yet. This is essentially, I don't know, the internet in the 70s, right? There's just nothing available. So we're early enough that we hopefully, can have a voice in how some of these things are built. Because we're going to be kind of like one of their target customers, right? For a lot of these big institutions moving into the space, trying to sell products and services, like things like ALF will be a ideal customer for a lot of them. So hopefully, the ability to influence what's built, but also, for the ALF Treasury getting to invest in all of the cool tech being built right now. There's so much still ahead of us, I think.
Yeah.
Especially
Absolutely.
as we think of, how to do a lot of what we do in the real financial world, but on crypto, right? Like once you have like a planetary financial system, without trying to, without sounding too futuristic.
Yeah, the whole like Ready Player One kind of aesthetic. If you
Oh,
know
I
what I
love
mean.
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
such
you
a good film.
yeah. That's what I see in Star Atlas with the whole
That is
economy
what I see
world
in
and
Star Atlas too.
yeah.
Yep, different planets are different, communities or companies or games or whatever, right? You can hop from Minecraft straight into Star Atlas, and your character changes form, all your assets, your wallets. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be cool. How fast do we get there? And that's
Yeah.
the question.
Absolutely. That actually perfectly leads into the last question. Where do you see ALF in 5 or 10 years? Like, where do you see either the treasury or the community or just the whole project in general?
Ooh, 5 years. I feel ALF would still be, when I talk to Tom and Funcracker, and I think about how I like to run businesses, I feel like ALF will still be a very lean and very fast moving organism. When things in crypto happen, they happen kind of quickly or they present themselves quickly. And I like that Tom, myself, and Funcracker, between the three of us, can delegate things really quickly, and the person who owns it, gets it done in the time that they say it's going to happen. So even in 5 years, I think that will still be the core of who we are, is just a very agile and very focused company, focused on crypto, investing in crypto, advocating for crypto or advocating for use cases or products, and helping to grow the space through capital allocation. Tom?
Yeah, so I kind of see a couple of things happening. So one is I think we will outgrow our current NFT collection. If we are continue on our trajectory, and we are well on our way in terms of where we want to be and where we think we will be in terms of treasury growth, we'll get to a point whereby the current NFT and value per NFT no longer makes sense. And so, in the traditional world, you would see things like stock splits and other corporate action events, which will try to try to distribute the the ownership of the company better, or the fund. So I think, we haven't worked out just yet how that will be. It's not going to be as simple as mint another collection type of thing. I think there will be some nuances about how we could fractionalize or do something whereby it allows people to more, on a more granular level, invest more in ALF, right, proportionally. So I think that's probably one thing. Now the second thing for me is, I would like to see ALF as like a household name. When I say household name, a household name in crypto. The closest thing we have is in crypto is like Big Brain Holdings or Animoca brands and things like that, where you see them on all of sort of like the big strong VC investments lists, and people recognize the brand as, wow, if the ALF guys are in it, we know it's a good project. Right, so I would like us to develop that reputation as a sort of like a VC partner to really strong and up and coming projects and companies within Web3.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds really good. Makes me want to buy more ALF.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, we've never intentionally just tried to pump the floor, right? I mean, we could easily just go out and either using treasury funds or personal funds, just buy the floor up. I mean, our floor is like what, 8 to 10
Very
alphs
thin.
at any point in time, right? So our intention never is to go out and pump, because at the end of the day, we know that our success is growing the treasury, right, and giving value in terms of revenue and other things back to the holders. And so that the floor price will just represent that at the end of the day. So that's always been our focus. Always happy when people buy ALF, but that really isn't your main aim, for sure.
I was just going to say, Tom had a great point about the collection size, right? Our collection size is a reflection of the environment in which we planned the launch, right? Which was, when we launched was fantastic timing. But it also kind of created this unexpected problem on the back end where our collection was, kind of small, right? Two. And early on, we identified like there were people who came to us who said, I have, X amount and I want to get to the next level, commander or, captain, but the floor's too thin, right? If I buy from the floor, I'm running the price up through the roof to try to get to that number. So yeah, it's something we're thinking about, and I have some ideas on solutions that I'm pretty pumped about, and Tom has had to kind of pump the brakes a couple times. Like, hey, like we just launched. Like we got our feet under ourselves pretty quickly with deploying funds, setting up our wallet structuring, and getting comfortable moving assets and doing it in a way that we felt was very safe. And so yeah, I think that's a very real thing in the next 5 years for sure, is having to manage accessibility. We want people to be able to participate, and we want to make sure that it's possible to do that. A lot of different, not price points, but investment sizes. But it gets tricky with someone wanting to invest a small amount and someone who wants to come in heavy. Being able to do both.
Yeah. Look, all these answers have been amazing and really fleshed out. I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do, but also, if you guys are alright with it, I probably want to post this as like an uncut one as well. If that's right.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you guys so much for taking the time.